Not much is known about Omar Al Bayoumi's earlier life. In fact, not many people know about the year in which he was born, which was probably around 1958. Up until 1994, there really isn't much to go on. However, in August of 1994, Al Bayoumi moved to the United States and settled down in San Diego, California. Acquaintances in San Diego law suspected Al Bayoumi as a Saudi government spy, reporting on the activities of Saudi born college students. Said one witness, he was always watching young Saudi college students, always checking up on them, literally following them around, and then apparently reporting their activities back to Saudi Arabia. According to the FBI's best source in San Diego, he said that of Al Bayoumi, quote, must be an intelligence officer for Saudi Arabia or another foreign power, end quote. The FBI's best source in San Diego was none other than Abdulsatter Sheikh, who went by the codename Stan. He actually rented rooms to two of the future 9/11 hijackers, Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi. During this time, Al Bayoumi was in the United States as part of a work-study program. The Saudi General Authority of Civil Aviation part of Al Bayoumi's salary through a government contractor. When the contractor proposed terminating his relationship with Al Bayoumi in 1999, the Saudi government official replied with a letter marked extremely urgent that the government wanted Al Bayoumi's contract renewed as quickly as possible. As a result, Al Bayoumi's employment with the project continued. Once in San Diego, Al Bayoumi told people that he is a student, even sometimes as a pilot, and claims to be receiving monthly payments from family in India, despite being Saudi. However, he has none of those things. In fact, he also tells people that he receives a monthly stipend from Dala Avco, the Saudi aviation company that has extensive ties to the same Saudi Ministry of Defense and Aviation. From early 1995 until 2002, Al Bayoumi is paid about $3,000 a month for the project in Saudi Arabia, even though he's living inside the United States. According to the New York Times, congressional officials believe he is a ghost employee doing no actual work. The classified section of the 9/11 Congressional Inquiry Report would note that his payments increased significantly just after he comes into contact with two hijackers in early of 2000. The FBI investigates possible ties between Dal Avco and Al Qaeda, the group led by Osama bin Laden. The firm's owner, Saudi billionaire Salah Abdullah Kamel, denied all accusations involved being with Al Qaeda or with Omar Al Bayoumi. An unknown Saudi benefactor pays Saad Al Habib to buy a building in San Diego for a new Kurdish community mosque, the Kurdish Community Islamic Center. However, the approximately $300,000 will only be given on the condition that Omar Al Bayoumi be installed as the building's maintenance manager with a private office at the mosque. And after taking the job, Al Bayoumi rarely showed up for work. This means he has two jobs at once. The people in the mosque eventually began a move to replace Al Bayoumi, but he moves to Britain early July of 2001 before any of this can happen. An anonymous federal investigator writes, quote, Al Bayoumi came here, set everything up financially, set up the San Diego cell, and set up the mosque, end quote. An international tax attorney notes that anyone handling business for a mosque or a church could set it up as a tax-exempt charitable organization, and it can easily be used for money laundering. In September of 1998 through July of 1999, the FBI conducts a counterterrorism inquiry on Omar Al Bayoumi, a suspected Al Qaeda advanceman and possible Saudi agent. The FBI discovers he has been in contact with several people also under investigation. The FBI is given a tip that he was sent a suspicious package filled with wire from the Middle East and that large numbers of Arab men routinely meet in his apartment. His landlord notices that he switches from driving a beat-up old car to a new Mercedes, also in 98. According to the 9/11 congressional inquiry, the FBI notes that Al Bayoumi has access to seemingly unlimited funding from Saudi Arabia. For instance, an FBI source identifies him as a person who had delivered about $500,000 from Saudi Arabia to buy a mosque in June of '98. However, the FBI closes the inquiry for reasons that remain unclear. Also in 1999, Al Bayoumi is working as an employee for Avco. We went over this earlier, and someone in the company tried to fire him, but that didn't happen. It seems that the intelligence arm knew about Al Bayoumi years before 9/11, and that the employer of these companies know that he's a ghost employee, yet they kept paying him. Between June of '99 and March of 2000, the FBI conducted a counterterrorism inquiry into Anwar al-Awlaki, an imam who will later be suspected of involvement in the 9/11 plot. He serves as the spiritual leader to several of the hijackers, and by 2003, U.S. intelligence will determine he's linked to al-Qaeda. However, their findings would not be found legitimately. It is suspected that he was part of al-Qaeda, yet al-Qaeda never mentions him. On January 15, 2000, after attending the 2000 al-Qaeda summit meeting in Kuala Lumpur, future 9/11 hijackers Nawaf al-Hazmi and Khalid al-Mihdhar flew from Bangkok, Thailand to Los Angeles. Al Bayoumi reportedly helped two hijackers settle in the United States after meeting them at a halal restaurant in Los Angeles. Interesting that they meet in this restaurant. Out of the many hundreds of restaurants in Los Angeles. The final 9/11 Commission report noted that, quote, Hazmi and Mihdhar were ill-prepared for a mission in the United States. Neither had spent any substantial time in the West, and neither spoke much, if any, English. It would therefore be plausible that they, or Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, would have tried to identify in advance a friendly contact for them in the United States. We believe it unlikely that al-Hazmi and al-Mihdhar would have come to the United States without arranging it to receive assistance from one or more individuals informed in advance of their arrival, end quote. Al Bayoumi invited them to move to San Diego with him, where he found them an apartment, co-signed a lease, and advanced them $1,500 to pay for their rent. However, the 9/11 Commission concluded that neither then nor later did Al Bayoumi give money to either al-Hazmi or Mihdhar. Al Bayoumi also helped them obtain driver's licenses, rights to Social Security, and information on flight schools. While they lived across the street from Al Bayoumi, they had no furniture. They constantly played flight simulator games, and limousines picked them up for short rides in the middle of the night. Their neighbors later said they perceived them as strange. Then they later moved into the house of an FBI informant, who I mentioned earlier, Abdulsadah Sheikh, a friend of Al Bayoumi's who was secretly working as an FBI informant at the time under his handler, Stephen Butler, from the San Diego field office. An October 2012 FBI report named Fahad al-Thumeri, a Saudi Islamic Affairs official and King Fahd Mosque imam, as having worked with al Bayoumi. The report also named a third man who allegedly had ordered al Bayoumi and al-Thumeri to assist the hijackers. This man's name was not declassified, but was accidentally revealed when the FBI neglected to redact his name in a document filed in April of 2020. The man's name was Al-Jarrah, no relation to Ziad Al-Jarrah, but nonetheless, a Saudi official who had been released by accident, Mused Al-Jarrah. In July of 2001, Omar Al Bayoumi moved to England to pursue a PhD at Aston University. 10 days after the September 11th attacks, he was arrested by British authorities working with the FBI. He was held on immigration charges while the FBI and Scotland Yard investigated him. His phone calls, bank records, and associations were researched, but the FBI said they found no connection to terrorism. When interrogators later asked Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, the mastermind of the alleged 9/11 attack, the alleged mastermind of the 9/11 attacks, whether he knew Al Bayoumi, he said that he did not. He was released and went back to studying in Aston and later moved to Saudi Arabia. Previously classified memorandum released by the National Archives in May of 2016. As of June 6, 2003, the FBI believed that it was possible that he was an agent of the Saudi government and that he may have been reporting on the local community to the Saudi government officials. In addition, during his investigation, the FBI discovered that Al Bayoumi had ties to terrorist elements as well. Senator Bob Grant also alleged that the White House had covered up possibly Saudi Arabian government connections to 9/11 hijackers, Nawaf, al-Hazmi, and Khalid al-Mihdhar. In an interview to promote his new book, Intelligence Matters, he contends that the evidence related to two hijackers who lived in San Diego present a compelling case that there was Saudi assistance to the 9/11 plot. Author Philip Shannon stated that Graham is convinced that a number of sympathetic Saudi officials, possibly within the sprawling Islamic Affairs Ministry, which had known that al-Qaeda terrorists were entering the United States beginning in 2000 in preparation for some sort of attack, and that Saudi officials had directed spies operating in the United States to assist them. Graham also concluded that President Bush directed the FBI to restrain and obfuscate investigations into these ties, possibly to protect U.S.-Saudi relations. The San Diego Union Tribune also noted that Graham also co-chaired the exhaustive congressional inquiry into the September 11th attacks and is privy to still classified information about the probe. Graham claimed that Omar Al Bayoumi and Osama Basnan were Saudi intelligence assets. He also claimed that the FBI deliberately blocked his inquiry's attempts to interview Abdulsadah Sheikh, the FBI informant. It also became known that payments from former U.S. Saudi Ambassador Bandar bin Sultan through his wife Haifa bin Faisal in their bank, Riggs Bank, went to the wife of Osama Basnan, Mouida Dawijak, who sent the payments to Osama Basnan, her wife, her husband, and Osama Basnan gave those payments, monthly stipends, to Khalid al-Mihdhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi. These payments went from the year 2000 to the early half of 2002. As of late, it seems that the families of who are suing the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, law firms such as Motley Rice and Creedler, have been successful in petitioning the Southern District of New York, led by Judge George Daniels, to subpoena Saudi officials Muassed al-Jara, Osama Basnan, Fahd al-Thamari, and Omar Al Bayoumi to testify without the hidden secrecy of the intelligence officials from the General Intelligence Directorate in Saudi Arabia. Let's hope that they get the answers that they need.